This is the story of Gwenette Martha, a man whose life took a twisted path from a promising start to a brutal end. As a young boy, he showed exceptional talent on the football field, even earning a spot in the prestigious Ajax Youth Academy. A tragic event in 1992 would forever alter the course of Gwynette's life, setting him on a descent into the criminal underworld. Gwenette Girigori Martha was born on February 7, 1974, in Curaçao. Gwen's Martha grew up in Amsterdam's De Peep, in the Van der Helst neighborhood, with his mother and his older brother Giovanni. At a young age, he committed his first thefts and street robberies with his close friends. The Martha brothers gradually formed a familiar group with the Boneka and Etus Belserang brothers. Young Gwenette also did more than just mischief on the streets. He was a talented footballer, so talented that he was welcomed at Ajax. He was admitted to the Youth Academy, where he trained with boys like Mario Melchior and Norden Wooder. There was a photo of Martha posing next to Melchior during Melchior's time at the English top club Chelsea. According to Martha, much later on, Norden Wooder sometimes borrowed a car from him. However, Martha's football career ended before it even began. On March 5, 1992, something occurred that completely turned his life upside down. His only brother Giovanni got into a fight with a group of Moroccans from the West at Club Escape on Rembrandtplein, during which the then 20-year-old Mohammed Mumish Chekchar drew a firearm and began shooting. Giovanni was struck and died in Gwenette's arms outside Escape. Chekchar was apprehended a month and a half later in Diemen. The Amsterdam Court of Appeal handed down a sentence on October 26, 1992, sentencing him to 8 years in prison for the manslaughter of Giovanni Martha, attempted manslaughter of his friend Vincent, and possession of a weapon as a result of the pistol discovered on him during the house search following his arrest. Some said that the then just 18-year-old Martha never really got over his brother's death. What was certain was that he kept getting deeper into the criminal world. According to police and prosecutors, he and his mentioned childhood friends increasingly committed bold, armed robberies, although several investigations faltered. In hindsight, comparisons arose with other tight-knit friend groups that made a name for themselves in the Amsterdam underworld. For example, the group around Mink Coke in Watergraafsmeer, or the Kinkerboord gang around Sam Klepper, Johnny Miramet, Kees Houtman, and George Van Cleef. Youth gangs whose core would be counted among the top of the city's crime scene decades later. Street robberies and shop thefts transitioned into bank robberies. The National Robbery Team operating from Almere started a major investigation into Martha and his associates, including Najib B. from the east, who had joined them. In the criminal case that eventually followed, prosecutor Koos Pluij demanded 10 years in prison for Martha for a series of armed robberies. However, the court only sentenced him to 1.5 years in prison and acquitted him of most of the charges. Martha received several partial acquittals. However, he was convicted of weapon possession and drug trafficking. There were strong indications that Martha's group started seriously dealing drugs from the mid-1990s onward, importing cocaine from South America. However, there were no lengthy investigations during that time. On one hand, the police switched to a strategy of quick wins after the large-scale, years-long investigations fell into disrepute in the IRT affair due to unauthorized investigative methods in the mid-1990s. On the other hand, conflicts among Turks, especially in Amsterdam West, took priority as shootings were rampant there. Information about Martha and his group regularly came in, but it usually wasn't thoroughly investigated. It was only after the turn of the millennium, when an underworld war began in the streets of Amsterdam with the killings of Jan Fiemer, September 23, 2000 on Haarlemmerdijk, and Sam Klepper, October of the same year near Groot Gelderlandplein, in which Dutch nationals and their associates played leading roles, that the Dutch networks received more attention again. Gwenette Martha was initially linked to a murder case in Groningen, though his involvement was minor. Jeanette Meesters vanished in Spain with a large amount of hashish connected to Martha's suspected English associates. Authorities targeted Jeanette's brother, Gerard Meesters, a teacher, for information. Martha and his associates pressured Meesters, leading to threats and eventually his murder by Daniel Sowerby. Martha, shocked by the outcome, received a short prison sentence for his involvement, while Sowerby was sentenced to life imprisonment. This incident marked Martha's growing troubles due to his association with Sowerby. In late 2003, he once again drew the attention of the Amsterdam police. Mohammed Chekchar, the man who shot Giovanni Martha in 1992, had been out of prison for a while and was busy rebuilding his life. He was now 31, living back in De Barges, and worked 2 evenings a week behind the bar at the popular venue De Melkweg, where he was well liked by his colleagues. On October 14, 2003, he, as usual, smoked a joint at the Ruthless coffee shop on Hoofdweg. Around 9 o'clock, a man in dark clothing wearing a helmet appeared in the doorway. He emptied his firearm at Chekchar, also hitting a staff member and a customer of the coffee shop in the legs. He fled on a stolen black Aprilia scooter that he had parked at the corner of Hoofdweg and Davisstraat against a lamppost. Chekchar died on the spot. The police suspected Martha sought revenge for his brother's death, but the investigation stalled due to a lack of evidence. Martha was briefly arrested in May 2004, but was released soon after. Martha's lawyer, Benedict Fiek, criticized the police for making unfounded assumptions about his client, emphasizing Martha's grief over his brother's death and the need for evidence in seeking justice. The Amsterdam Public Prosecutor's Office and the police realized they needed to change tactics if they couldn't build concrete cases against this professional criminal in the traditional way. In 2007, they shifted their focus to Martha's suspected money laundering activities from up to 5 years prior, as there was still no solid evidence of his involvement in large-scale drug trafficking or violent crimes. Law enforcement conducted extensive investigations and accused Martha of accumulating wealth through illicit means. From March 2005 to February 2007, he had a BMW X3 with a new value of €57,500 at his disposal. Shortly before his arrest in the spring of 2007, he drove a BMW X5 valued at €126,735 in the catalog, interspersed with a Mercedes ML 500 worth roughly €100,000, bringing the collection of sporty and luxury cars to over 3.5 tons. During the 6-day court hearings in the spring of 2008, Martha faced the same question posed by the police. How did he acquire such wealth and luxury items? Martha provided a multifaceted response, citing trading Viagra pills obtained from Spain, selling high-quality weed through Daniel Sowerby, and dealing in clothing and shoes on Albert Quip Street. He claimed to have invested earnings from the Viagra trade into exclusive watches, aiming for their appreciation over time. Martha also mentioned retrieving cars on loan from friends and engaging in a small business involving phones and pagers. Additionally, he occasionally bets on kickboxing matches featuring his friend Badr Hari. Regarding his lack of a bank account, Martha attributed it to negligence, stating his attempts to open one with his co-defendant Mohammed were unsuccessful. However, the court remained skeptical of Martha's explanations, viewing him as involved in illegal activities, driving unregistered expensive cars, and taking measures to conceal his lifestyle and income. The prosecution's addition of more suspicions to the money laundering case didn't help Martha's situation. One such suspicion involved Martha's alleged involvement in attempting to export 17.6 kilograms of heroin to England in July 2003, alongside accomplices, including Daniel Sowerby. Despite Martha's denials, the court concluded, based on intercepted phone calls and observations, that he participated in preparing for the heroin transport and negotiating its price, although he avoided the actual delivery. The judges were particularly troubled by another suspicion, where Martha exhibited his readiness to attack opponents, even women. In October 2006, Martha and his group were captured on security cameras at Club Sinners, where they quarreled with a young woman inside. The altercation escalated outside the club, leading to Martha and his friends physically assaulting the woman, resulting in serious injuries, including a fractured jaw and eye socket and a severe concussion. Even when her cousin intervened, he too was assaulted, sustaining a shoulder injury. The court's verdict expressed its outrage, condemning Martha and his friends for a violent assault on a young woman and her cousin. Martha was warned against reinforcing his egocentric attitude with violence, especially in nightlife. He received a 7-year prison sentence on April 15, 2008, marking his first significant punishment. Shortly after his imprisonment, Martha orchestrated a daring escape from the Zuiderbos detention center on May 12, 2008. Using a commotion during a soccer tournament around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he and a fellow inmate simply cut a hole in the fence, dropped a rope ladder, and climbed into the canal. Amid loud cheers from his fellow inmates, he easily crossed the second fence, where his accomplice got stuck until caught by guards. Outside the prison, two helpers in blue overalls awaited Martha with the Volkswagen van they had stolen 3 days earlier in Amsterdam West. The van was later found near a concrete factory in Heerhugowaard, but the three were gone. The Amsterdam police conducted an intensive search for Martha, with assistance from the fugitive pursuit team. Despite tips from the Underworld via the criminal intelligence unit leading detectives worldwide, Martha remained untraceable. After a year, authorities escalated efforts, airing a wanted notice on television featuring Martha's unblurred face and offering a €5,000 reward for information. Martha could have been in Spain, Morocco, Dubai, or England, possibly using aliases or posing as a Muslim. Tips persisted, including a mistaken sighting at a train station. Meanwhile, Martha's associate, Boneka Belsarang, was fatally shot in Leiderdorp. Martha, still at large, couldn't attend his friend's funeral. A year and a half after escaping, Martha was apprehended on October 28, 2009, when the car he was traveling in with a Moroccan criminal using fake Dutch papers was stopped at a traffic checkpoint in Antwerp's Deurne district. Recognizing Martha, local police arrested him with a SWAT team. On January 6, 2010, he was expedited back to the Netherlands on special transport, where he was placed back in custody. Martha soon appeared as a witness in the Amsterdam murder case, Passage, where key witness Peter Leserp accused him of involvement in an assassination attempt. Martha denied this accusation as total nonsense. He was also formally designated as a suspect in the murder case and was repeatedly questioned by detectives during his imprisonment, though concrete evidence beyond the story was lacking, according to his lawyer. By that time, nobody could match the Martha clan's success. But even though the King of Amsterdam still controlled the city's cocaine trade, there was trouble brewing, a conflict with his loyal follower, Hussein. From prison, Gwenette had chosen Najib Bobo over Hussein as his deputy. Hussein didn't like this, and the vindictive Hus then started his own business together with his brother-in-law Benaouf A. The group of Benaouf and Hus grew fast and tried to challenge Martha for control of the market. This led to high tensions, and from there things escalated further rapidly. In 2012, when Martha was released from prison because the criminal case had to be reviewed again, Gwynette's group ends up in a major conflict with Hus and Benaouf A's group. The conflict involved a shipment of 200 kilos of cocaine that disappeared in the port of Antwerp. Because Hus and Benaouf A suspected that the party had been stolen by Najib Boubou, emotions ran very high. On October 18, 2012, Najib Boubou, Martha's childhood friend and right-hand man, was liquidated as he walked out of the Crown Plaza Hotel in Antwerp. This murder marked the start of an unprecedented mafia war in the city, later dubbed as the Mokro Mafia War. One night in May 2013, things got heated again at the Amsterdam Maritime Museum during a waterfront dance party attended by famous soccer players and underworld figures. The Benaouf clan's money handler was shot, allegedly by Suraili, cousin of Gwenette Martha. According to a guard, Suraili calmly approached Sohail Lachir, the associate of Benaouf and Hussein, and fatally shot him. He then calmly put away his gun and quietly left the scene. This murder was payback for the killing of Najib Boubou. It was classic mafia. Someone from a rival group had to pay for the death of Boubou. However, after the murder, Martha became a target himself. Surviving an assassination attempt in December 2013, Martha grew paranoid and adopted strict security measures, rarely leaving home without a bodyguard and bulletproof vest. Despite losing power and realizing his vulnerability, Martha's personal transformation, including his conversion to Islam and becoming a father, softened his ambitions. 6 months later, on May 22, 2014, Gwenette, aged 40, was liquidated after all. Unaware of the impending danger, he was at shawarma store Roos in Amstelveen with a friend who was a small-time drug dealer and bodyguard. This friend had previously taken the blame when arrested with Martha, where hidden firearms were found in their car. 2 more men joined them. As Martha exited the establishment with one of them, he was met with a hail of bullets from Kalashnikovs. He still tried to flee, but collapsed a few meters away in a parking lot. More than 80 bullet holes were found in his body. Eyewitnesses reported 3 or more assailants dressed in black with concealed faces. The perpetrators fled the scene in a dark BMW, later abandoning it in Diemen after setting it ablaze. Martha's murder was commemorated by members of a motorcycle club at the murder spot, and he was buried in Curaçao. Shortly after Martha's murder, a significant discovery was made. A USB stick was found on Martha's person, leading to the arrest of 9 individuals in Antwerp, allegedly involved in the importation of hundreds of kilos of cocaine. During the investigation, one suspect, a dock worker, was found in possession of 1 million euros in cash, highlighting the extent of the criminal activities linked to Martha and his associates. Despite extensive efforts, the primary perpetrator responsible for Martha's death was never apprehended, leaving his murder unresolved. What are your thoughts on this story? Share your opinions in the comments section, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching.